Is dropped live from Costa Rica. Soccer down here, just about 5 minutes late. I mean, that's pretty typical around here. I think we're fitting in as one of the locals here on Tico time. Jason Longshore, Mike Conti, John Nelson, all with you from Costa Rica, getting ready for Concacaf Champions League tonight. Atlanta United, Herediano. All of your ways to watch and listen up front, so you know. Univision Deportes has it live starting at 10 o'clock. It'll come in right after the Kansas City Toluca match. Yahoo Sports, both on the desktop and on the app, they have it starting at 10 o'clock. And we'll be on 92.9 The Game with our pre-match coverage starting at 9:30, Five Stripes Countdown. Kickoff probably right after 10 o'clock. It'll be pretty close to the top of the hour. It's going to be a fun one. You can listen to that on radio.com as well and on the Atlanta United app. So, John, we didn't get a chance to talk to you very much yesterday because travel was crazy and getting into the stadium was crazier. Traffic in Costa Rica. Look, I will never, ever complain about Atlanta traffic ever again. Never.
No.
It's never not doing it because the traffic to get from the hotel to the stadium last night, it was insane. We did see a roadside ceviche salesman, though. That was interesting. I did see my new favorite fast food restaurant, Pollolandia. I do want to check out a Pollolandia at some point. But I don't know how the traffic was for you guys, John, but it was very difficult getting over to the stadium.
I apparently made Doug Robertson's travel blog in reference to traffic. And we realized that we were staying at the same hotel, and we were efforting Doug for 10:30-ish Eastern.
Go knock on his door.
Yeah, exactly. We are on the same floor, actually. Quoting Doug, John Nelson and I shared a taxi to and from the stadium. I heard him say "ooh" a half dozen times as drivers did things that if I were to see my 16-year-old daughter try, I would immediately take away her license, keys, car, and cell phone. Took us an hour.
Aggressive moped riding, some aggressive.
It was just aggressive. It was aggressiveness. It wasn't just mopeds. It was cars. It was buses. It was trucks. It was motorcycles driving on the middle yellow line of 2-lane roads. I mean, I will say this. Faded, nevertheless. And I wanted to try to figure out how to say, I was asking our Uber drivers along the way, I wanted to see if there was an actual translation for evil pothole. And we're still, I think, trying to work on one of those. But, if you are a mechanic here in Costa Rica and you can work on brakes and transmissions, you are cornering the market because folks are slamming on brakes, grinding gears, finding lanes where there are no lanes. I mean, I see 3 lanes of traffic with 2 lanes worth of road available. It has been an amazing experience for me.
Yeah, we've revised our plan.
75 minutes to go, 8 miles, 8 kilometers.
To get to this, I think it was 40 minutes for 4 miles, if I'm not mistaken. We've revised our plan to get to the stadium on time by about an hour today to make sure we have plenty of time to get there. Yes. It was an interesting ride over there.
I'll tell you what, this is we haven't even done the game yet, and this is probably going to go down as like the most unique 30-hour broadcast travel experience that I've ever had. And John, I'd love your perspective on that. You've been doing this longer than I, but first of all, this place is beautiful.
Yes.
The people here are very, very friendly.
Pura vida.
Yes.
Pura vida, absolutely. I can't say we've had the best food yet, but the sample size is very small. But look, I mean, what a pleasure it is to be down here and walking into the stadium last night. You get chills almost, and it's an 8,000 seat kind of bandbox, to use a baseball term. But you walk in there, you just kind of feel that history. It's a stadium that they built, I think, in the 1950s, but Herediano
51.
Herediano's been a club that's won 27 First Division championships in Costa Rica. They've never been relegated. You walk in there, you just kind of feel the history. And you feel this, I don't want to be too poetic here, but it almost feels like, I know England calls itself the home of soccer, but you almost feel like you're at the deep roots of Latin American soccer when you walk into a park like that. And by no means is it comfortable. By no means is it luxurious. But this is going to be a very unique opportunity tonight for Atlanta United. And I thought Michael Parkhurst was right on yesterday when we got to the stadium, and they had a little Concacaf sanctioned mixed zone precedent where Parkhurst said, look, I mean, we have got to match Herediano's passion, both on the pitch and in the stands. And you just feel when you walk into the place, John, that this is going to be a place. It might not be 100% full tonight, we're told, but this is a place that exudes soccer at its most pure historic level, and it's going to be a lot of fun to take in this match tonight.
Yeah, when we walked in for the presser and toe touchies yesterday for Atlanta United, you walk into Estadio Eladio Roosevelt Cordero, and you just feel it. It is a different vibe than all of the other places that we've been in. And you understand that, okay, this is different. It is not, dropping into a particular stadium in league play, whether it's, a week or whatever, when you hit the road. When you go into a stadium like what we did yesterday, you can feel the importance of what you're about to call, what you're about to cover, what you're about to see as a fan. And there's only, you can get a little bit of the vibe when you watch it on television. And I know that we've all been kind of locked into the TV watching all of the other matches so far this year. But when you've watched Concacaf Champions League in the past and you see just the fever and the fervor and the excitement of the fans, and now you get to be a part of it. We were there for an empty stadium yesterday, but we could hear fans who wanted to get P.T. Martinez to sign something. Mm-hmm. And to have a press conference going on and hearing that outside, this is a different vibe, and it is about 11 billion on the coolness factor. And to be a part of it, it's just a very unique vibe for the players who haven't done anything like this before in any kind of an international or hemispheric competition. It's just the vibe is different, and it's very, very cool. And to your point, Mike, I mean, it does remind you about the game itself and what it means to the world. And it's a different vibe entirely, and to be a part of it is just absolutely amazing.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say to John and Hugh this morning over at 92.9 The Game. This is everything here. This is everything for this club, for this fan base. It's just everything in terms of the sporting culture. I mean, if you take all of our sports and wrap them into one, you get that. But it's not like that quite for everybody yet. You don't. We got down here, we check into the hotel, Champions League games in Europe were just finishing up, and there were 6 channels, all with soccer content, live games, studio shows, whatever, all of it. It is everything. And to walk into the Estadio yesterday, it felt like, to me, like that's the heartbeat of the game. That's the soul of this sport, is places like that have seen it and lived it, and all the blood, sweat, and tears that have been shed in that place. It's special to get a chance to go in there and work. It's special to be part of this. And I think, John, you mentioned for the club and for the players and the staff, and to get an opportunity for them to experience, and it's something they'll remember. the fans that are here, and there's at least over 100 that we know about, probably more that are going to be in the building tonight. This is a road trip for them that they will always remember, and when they get to experience #CCL fever for the first time, it's special. It's different. If you watched Alianza last night with Monterrey and had a chance to see that was a taste of it. And you saw a team that on paper is not in Monterrey's class play straight up even with them and get a big result. I don't know if it's enough. They probably needed a goal, but it makes that second leg really interesting. That's what this tournament's all about. That's what CONCACAF, I think, ultimately wants to see is more matches, more setups like this where you have a team from El Salvador that can play toe-to-toe with a heavyweight from Liga MX. I think a lot of CONCACAF tonight's rooting for Herediano. They want to see the new kids on the block, Atlanta United, get humbled a little bit. And this is going to be a huge test because everything you can imagine that can go against Atlanta United could go against them tonight. You're going to have a hostile crowd. You're going to have a tough situation to play in. You're going to have a team that is motivated because this is their season. Their regular season has been a struggle. It's going to be a very difficult cauldron to walk into tonight. And Atlanta's going to have to, for me, and it was something as I was working on the keys to the match for our friends over at the subreddit for Atlanta United, surviving the first 15 minutes. I think that's the key tonight, is getting through the first 15 minutes in a good position, not giving up a goal, not getting caught up in the drama that we can see in CONCACAF Champions League at times, and just getting through it in one piece. And if you get a goal in it, even better. But if you get through it 0-0 with no cards and no escalation of drama, that's a win. That's a good situation to be in. It's going to be fun. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to try to get the echoing that I know some of you guys are hearing. It's not our usual setup on the road, so we're working through it. Thanks for bearing with us. We appreciate it. But we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back after this.
Today's show is presented by Appolinsky & Associates, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience, supporters of Atlanta United, Faction, and Inter-Atlanta Youth Football Club. If you've been hurt in a wreck, contact Steve today at steve@aa-legal.com or call in 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
A ranger station.
I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
I put out my campfire and Smokey Bear hugged me.
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Yep, he's just letting you know you did good.
Bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update.
I'm gonna let you go now. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency, or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Every hiring manager knows that a company is only as good as the people it's made from. So where do you find the best people? That may surprise you.
Meet the grads of life. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
This is talent worth knowing about.
Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Welcome back. Soccer Down here. February 21st, Concacaf Champions League Matchday Preview Edition. I'm not going to try to acronym or hashtag that. It's a little bit much. Atlanta United, Herediano tonight, 10 o'clock kick. You can watch Yahoo Sports, Univision Deportes. You can listen 92.9 The Game. we want to hear from you guys what your thoughts are on the match tonight. What are you worried about? What are you thinking Atlanta United can exploit about Herediano? Predictions as well. And John, our friend Josh Bailey, is back with the Daily poll.
And we have our options. So go to jbailey86 and let everybody know what you think is going to happen tonight. And apparently, guys, this is going to be a separate competition from the Bailey Daily for MLS. So, this is a match day. Therefore, there are predictions. And so we'll get those later on in the show. But yes, Josh is making sure that there is no competition that doesn't have a Bailey Daily and a trophy involved, guys.
We have a third trophy now, is what you're telling me.
Yes.
All right. I'll take that. John, what were your thoughts about Frank de Boer, Michael Parkhurst yesterday press conference speaking to the media about the match? I thought it was interesting, some of the questions from the Costa Rican media just about, what they see in Herediano and what they're expecting tonight.
For me, the biggest thing that I took from listening to Frank de Boer and from Cap was that this is a business trip. They understand the weight. They understand that this is a different animal. They know that they have some new pieces, and Michael Parkhurst addressed having a player like P.T. Martinez in the fold. So the biggest vibe that I got, the biggest aura that I got in all of this is that they understand what they're getting into. They understand the weight of what's going on. They understand that Herediano is going to be a tough test on this pitch. They understand the fans in the stadium and all of the things that we talked about in the first segment are involved here now. But you see a very taking care of business attitude when it comes to what they're looking to do. And, when you have someone like a Michael Parkhurst in a press conference, it's not too high, not too low, very matter of fact, very taking care of business. So for me, I feel like the only thing missing is the Elvis lightning bolt with the TCB across it that everyone wears as a necklace. That was just Jason, that was the biggest vibe that I got. It's just come down here, take care of business and do what you got to do.
Yeah, John, it's funny. I've been joking with people at the radio station. They're like, oh, you're going on vacation to Costa Rica. No, this is not a vacation for us. Trust me. It's not a vacation for Atlanta United either. I mean, they came down yesterday afternoon. They had a very brief, John, you called it toe touching. Very brief informal training last night. They're sitting around the hotel today. That's the one thing about a 9 p.m. local time kickoff is you've got to kind of sit around the hotel all day and look at yourselves. But they're going right back home tonight. This is not a vacation by any stretch. They're coming down here. They're going to try to take care of business, get some kind of result, get back home to Marietta and keep it moving. It'll probably be a light regen day on Friday, but you've got to play the return leg a week from today. And then a week from Sunday, you're playing an MLS match, which, by the way, is on the road. And then you could be on the road at Monterey the following Wednesday, we think. Atlanta United does not have the time right now to be approaching this week as anything other than just straight business. And I think it's a reflection of the new manager, Frank de Boer, a little bit. And in the very limited time that we've been around the club, I would defer more to what Felipe wrote this week. You can tell it's a little more matter of fact, scheduled. You try to adhere to your schedule as best you can here with all the traffic that's going on. But yes. There's a little bit of a different vibe around the club this year. It's a little bit hard to quantify. But I think you're exactly right, John. I think these guys came down here knowing, look, this is a great opportunity for this club to build the global brand that Arthur Blank has spoken about, that Darren Eales has spoken about, but you've got to take care of business. And I'm not saying what happened to Toronto was a wake-up call for anyone. I think Toronto's in a much different place than Atlanta United right now. But you look at Houston, 1-0 to Gustatoya. That's a good result on the road, but you would think an MLS club might be able to do a little bit better than that. Red Bulls, solid 2-0 win But MLS has not been overly impressive in the 3 matches that they've played yet, or to this point in the Concacaf Champions League. And I think Atlanta United probably knows that they can take nothing for granted against Herediano tonight.
Yeah, and I think the Monterrey result last night might show them that as well, because Monterrey is most people's favorite in this tournament. And they went on the road to, the heavyweight club of El Salvador, but it's a club from El Salvador. It's a club that, talent-wise should not be competing with Monterrey, and they did last night. Now Monterrey gets the home leg next, and they should take care of business just fine, but it adds that little bit of doubt. So that, combined with Toronto, I think it is a little bit of a wake-up call. These are huge games for the underdogs in this competition. These first legs where they're getting them at home, the teams from Pot 2, with the exception of Kansas City and Toluca, because that's more of an even matchup. The first leg for the underdog is just, it's everything to them. So they're throwing everything they have into it. I thought Atletico Pantoja, whose league doesn't start until April, was outstanding last night. You can tell there's a giant talent disparity there, and you can tell there's a giant experience disparity, and that's maybe the biggest thing for clubs from the Dominican Republic, is they just don't get that level of competition on a regular basis. But they handled themselves pretty well, and they had a goalkeeper stand on his head as well for a large portion of the match and kept the score to 2-0. That's a pretty good result for them. Herediano is not coming in looking for a 1-0 loss or a 2-0 loss as a good result. They're looking for a win. They have a different standard. Nathan Pugh tweeted at us and said, "Color me biased, but we know Atlanta has more talent. Atlanta wins 2-0. Atlanta does have more talent. That's not being biased or arrogant or anything. It's a fact. Atlanta United and I think your top teams in MLS have more talent than Herediano and many clubs in this competition. But, and this is what we've seen throughout the years in CONCACAF, you can have a lot of talent, but there is an experience factor in these kinds of matches.
And I think one more thing, and John, chime in on this as well. Remember Houston Dynamo last year got way behind the 8 ball in MLS, so they kind of went all in on U.S. Open Cup, and they went out and won it. Philadelphia Union, to a lesser extent, kind of the same way. And they used it as a springboard into their 2019 MLS season. Herediano's not really anywhere close to the top of the table in the Primera Clausura right now. I think they're 9th. They're not having a very good year. They aren't scoring a lot of goals. They were telling us last night they don't expect a sellout crowd because the club has not been that good. Well, now here's almost like a second chance, where maybe your league is a lost cause this spring. You can go all in on CONCACAF Champions League. So that's why I would not really pay too much attention to the fact that they're 3-3-3, that they've only scored 11 goals in 9 matches, that they aren't playing all that well right now in league play. They have almost a fresh start tonight, a new opportunity to take down the MLS champions in the United States and Canada. It's a golden opportunity for them. They're starting to get a little bit more healthy, and then they're in their home park. So the emotional edge certainly goes to them. So I would not get too terribly fixated on talent disparity in this match. I think it's a really good opportunity for Hernan Medford to almost start fresh with this group that he has right now and take a shot against a very, very good team from North America. Yeah, Mike.
To your point, you look at what Herediano's done in their last couple of matches to get to 3-3-3. And you also look at all the other competitions and all the other matches that we've seen. Alianza had opportunities last night against Monterrey at home. There was one that sticks out in my head in the first half, and then I think Jimenez was the one who had it in really, really late time. So, Alianza had opportunities against Monterrey. So, to the point, you look at that first 15 to 20 minutes. I think that's big. You get settled into your situation. You get settled into place. And for a team, Mike, to your point, like a Herediano, this is that second chance. This is that separate opportunity to sit there and it's like, okay, so things aren't going well over here. Let's focus on what's going over here. And we can really make a stand and we can really get things moving and make a statement about who we can be through Concacaf Champions League. So, guys, yeah, I mean, this is I'm not looking at records or anything like that. You can pick about any broadcasting cliche when it comes to teams having to do with talent and underdog and, expectations and all that kind of stuff. Pick any broadcasting cliche, it'll apply tonight just because of how different things are.
I was just going through my search of the latest news on Herediano, and a tweet from Carlos Lobo popped up. Covers the game in Central America and the Caribbean, and he talked about Tigres and Atlanta United. He said Tigres and Atlanta United are equipazos with very strong sporting and business structures, big clubs, just huge clubs. Said you can't give them any kind of advantage on the court. You have to play them at 100% in effort and concentration. Any mistake is deadly at this level. It's paid expensive is your translation directly. And he said, today it is your turn to show Herediano that you can compete and fight for classification. It will be a tough series against a very strong team, MLS champion with big stars. The margin of error is minimal, and you have to put it all. That's the mentality, and that's been the conversation in the local media is that, look, Hernan Medford, look at all the stars of Herediano who won a title in December and beat Saprissa twice to do it. That was great. That was a lot of fun. Now it's February and you're in 9th place. That's not acceptable. And that's the standard here, is that it's not okay to get that nice trophy and then, you can just coast along for a little while. You're in this, and they know they're the underdog, but they're not afraid, and that's the biggest difference.
Well, and I think the other thing that I find striking is they're the underdog that still has a lot of pressure on them. Like, usually when you're the underdog, you can just use the argument, well, no pressure on us, we have nothing to lose. The media attention down here in Costa Rica is off the chart for this match. We got to the airport yesterday. We went through customs, go out to the bus, and there's this throng of media. It felt like the scene from The Naked Gun when Frank Drebin gets off the plane and he thinks they're all there to interview him for taking down, the cartel in the Middle East. And George Kennedy says, no, they aren't here for you. They're here to see Weird Al Yankovic. Like, I kept looking behind me looking for Weird Al Yankovic because people were just, mobbing this club. And then when we got to the Estadio last night for training, kind of the same thing. I mean, there's a lot of media attention on this match. There's a lot of pressure on Herediano. And that's why Hernan Medford can only make the underdog argument to a point. It is a fresh start for them, but if they don't take advantage of this fresh start, then things get really, really squeaky for them.
I mean, and here's another one, John, as we're checking things out. Ricardo Chavez, who I believe, I don't know the official title, but he is part of the Costa Rican, looks like he's got an official title role with the government. His tweet cracks me up. One, we're going to have to talk to Felipe Cardenas about Gadra again, because that comes up. And the graphic that's out there is Con Gadra Team, because Herediano is known as El Team. So it's playing with that Gadra. And we've talked about it from an Atlanta United perspective. Herediano is going to match that in every single way. And, don't forget, there's already a big rivalry between the United States and Costa Rica on the soccer field. And we're seeing tweets already referencing the snow game, because remember, that was a very contentious affair where the U.S. won a World Cup qualifier in the snow. There was a lot of feeling from the Costa Rican side that game should have been canceled, postponed, not played, period, that day, all the different things. I mean, the tweet that I'm reading right now is funny. It's, Herediano can demonstrate again what we have achieved at international level in tournaments of clubs. Oh, and this time without snow. That's what's going to happen. I mean, you've got every single thing being funneled into this game. Costa Rican pride, Herediano pride, the individual players and manager playing kind of for their professional lives at this club. This is a big one, and you have to manage that situation really well. Go ahead and hit us up on Twitter at Soccer Down Here with your questions, with your comments as we get ready for some CCL fever tonight. And use that hashtag. It's a fun one to follow. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
As a business owner, you know that every year brings new challenges and opportunities. The success of your business demands expertise and focus. And Country Financial can help you keep that focus by helping ensure you have the right insurance protection in place to meet your goals. Jason Wright can help you create a customized insurance plan that has coverages designed just for your business. Give Jason a call at 678-568-6871 or reach him on Facebook at Jason Wright Agency. Coverages vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA is a national nonprofit working to transform youth and high school sports so that every child has a positive character-building youth sports experience. PCA provides live and online workshops to train double-goal coaches whose first goal is winning and whose second, more important goal is teaching life lessons through sports. PCA also has workshops for parents and high school student-athletes. For more information, please visit positivecoach.org.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, contact my friend Steve Apolinski of Apolinski and Associates. He's been representing individuals for over 30 years throughout Georgia and Alabama. Email him at steve@aa-legal.com or call him 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
I adopted Bento in 2010 from a shelter. This cat makes me make art. He's always motivating me to draw pictures of him. He just is motivating artistically. He's my best friend, but a lot of people know him as Keyboard Cat.
Keyboard Cat, YouTube star and shelter pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Start yours today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you.
Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back. SDH live from Costa Rica, February 21st, getting ready for Concacaf Champions tonight. Atlanta United, Herediano, first leg of the round of 16. We've had some tweets from you guys. We want to hear what you're thinking about the match. Ricky Ricardo says, I'm just really interested to see how the first 15 to 20 minutes go. Mindset is switched on for games that count, and this is a completely new atmosphere. So that settling down period is going to be big. With that said, I'm thinking 2-1 Atlanta with Joseph and Piti scoring goals.
Yeah, we were talking about it a little bit last night, how we think this match is going to play out. I don't publicly pick games that I broadcast. It's just personal preference. But I do really feel like the first 15 minutes are going to be tight. And I would say that if you're playing at Kennesaw, I would say that if you're playing a friendly against Chattanooga Red Wolves, which, by the way, Jason and John will be at Saturday, and with the ATL UTD2, of course. It's your first competitive match playing as a group together. The chemistry, there's only so much chemistry you can build in 4 or 5 preseason friendlies. It's going to look tight and clunky for the first couple minutes. Not to mention you're incorporating an incredibly vital new piece in Piti Martinez that has not played a whole lot with this group yet in a competitive match. I would also not be shocked to see Herediano try to grit up the match a little bit. I mean, you're playing in your home park. You've got your supporters behind you. We saw a really, really nasty challenge last night in what was it? The
Alianza game.
Alianza.
Yeah.
Should have been a red.
Alianza, yeah. Should have been
that's
red,
a
yeah.
Concacaf Champions League foul. You might see some of that early as Herediano tries to kind of set a physical tone. So I would not read too terribly much into what happens in the first 15 minutes tonight, to Ricky Ricardo's point. I think Atlanta United being on the road, and quite frankly, I think their starting 11 might reflect a little bit of caution as well, being on the road. You don't want to be too loose and too risk-oriented in a match where if you give up an early goal, if you concede first and you concede early on the road at Herediano, then you can have a really bad night.
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't read too much into the first 15, 20 minutes from how Atlanta United looks. I think it's about survival. And I think in that first 15, 20, if you come out and it looks a lot like a 5-4-1, which is going to be the default defensive shape without the ball, that's fine. I honestly think it's just getting through it. I think it's getting through as a group. everything Herediano is going to throw at you. I think in some ways they might punch themselves out and be so up for this game. If they don't get an early goal, it could hurt them. Tyler Rice with a question, and John, I want to hear from you on this one. Tyler goes 3-1 with his prediction for Atlanta. Don't see Atlanta keeping a clean sheet with them learning new defensive roles and could get caught out playing too high up the field after a bad turnover. What are your thoughts about the defensive side of it tonight for Atlanta?
No, I think that I think that you're going to get that default 5-4-1. I think that, and this is going to sound, this is probably going to be the wrong choice of verb here, but I think that Atlanta is going to feel themselves into the match to where you don't surrender that early goal. So I think that you're going to get that caution coming out of the blocks, and then I think that as things progress and you as a side feel more comfortable with your surroundings, learning, quirks, because the pitch, while turf is not, it has a crest and all that kind of stuff. So there are things to get adjusted to. But I think that you're going to see a 5-4-1 initially. Then once you get more comfortable, then you might see wings work their way up and you'll see less individuals at the back. But I think it's to ease yourself in. I think you're going to get that 5-4-1 and then work it out from there as to how many you're going to need at the back with the punching power of Herediano.
Yeah, Herediano is a physical team. Their last 4 goals in all competitions have been coming from set pieces. They've been struggling to score from the run of play. I wonder what they might try to change tonight, because you get into a situation like this, what you've been doing has not been working. You're going to have to switch it up. And maybe it's a Jimmy Marin coming into the lineup. He's saying he's healthy. He played 30 minutes about 2 weeks ago in a match and hasn't played since. I believe it's an injury similar to what Darlington Nagbe suffered with last season, where it's an adductor, and that's difficult to come back from. Marine is saying he's 100%. There's no way he can be because he hasn't played. But that's the stakes here tonight. Could you see him get the start and throw everything at this match early? Could you see them try to change up their tactics a little bit? Because the 4-4-2, 2 central midfielders sitting deep, hasn't really worked that well for Medford and for Herediano. I'm thinking they might have some kind of a surprise. We saw in the lineup over the weekend, Magana got the start. He's a little bit more of a guy to play underneath the forward. Jose Guillermo Ortiz started. He was replaced by Minor Escoy. I don't know if they go with 2 up top. I think it's going to be 1. And when you flip that back to the Atlanta side defensively, that's going to be a challenge for Parkhurst, LGP, Miles Robinson. If that's the trio that we're expecting, you have to make sure you're in sync. When it's 2 forwards, it's easy. You have 2 guys marking, you have 1 free, you're good, everything's cool. When it's 1 forward and the other sort of forward, as I'm doing air quotes, drops in deep, that's where you have to make decisions. That's where, if it's Parkhurst or LGP, do they go chase? Do they step out of the back 3? Or do they leave that player for a Remedi, a Lorinowitz, a Nagbe to pick up and mark? Those are the challenges. And in this type of environment, that's where those decisions have to be completely on point. Because if you don't make that decision, a guy gets free, you give up a goal early, then the crowd gets going. Then that confidence starts flowing through Herediano. And then the questions creep in a little bit on the Atlanta side.
Yeah, a big opportunity for Miles Robinson tonight, I think. It's someone who Jason has pointed out repeatedly when we have talked, when we've done stoppage time. Someone who's going to be, I would think, probably a 28 to 30 start center back for this team in 2019. Really big opportunity now. And he's been thrown into the fire before, and he has answered that challenge. I'm not suggesting in any way that he'd be a liability. I don't think that at all. I think this is a really, really big opportunity. But how is it going to look? How is the chemistry going to look with those 3 center backs, Parkhurst, LGP, and Miles Robinson? Because that's not something we saw. That's not a pairing we saw competitively a whole lot in 2018. What do you do with the wingbacks? I mean, I think we're assuming that Julian Gressel's probably a right wing back with Franco Escobar out. Is it going to be George Bello tonight? I mean, that is a heck of a pressure spot to put a 17-year-old into. But we have seen him split starts with Brek Shea in preseason friendlies. So this might be the biggest lineup question of all tonight for Atlanta United. But if John's right and Atlanta United starts in a 5-4-1, then those wingbacks become very, very important. And, if you're Frank DeBoer, you're looking at Brek Shea, who has a lot of experience, some men's national team experience, so he's been in Concacaf before. You're looking at George Bello, who has not been in Concacaf before. He's played at the U17 level, obviously, but this is a big, big jump up. That's a real pickle. It's a good problem to have because they're two great players who can give you different things, but I'm really focused in on Miles Robinson and potentially George Bello tonight in those first 15 minutes because I could see Herediano trying to go at it.
Yeah, one thing on the shape, and this is going to be, I think, a recurring conversation all year. It's so easy to get wrapped up in the numbers of the formation. 3-4-3, 5-4-1, it's the same thing. It's the same roles, it's the same thing. It's different, maybe mindsets at different points in the match. This will look like a 3-4-3 when kickoff happens. This will look like a 5-4-1 when the team does not have possession and they're pinned in a little bit. And this can look like a 3-2-5 when they attack, or a 3-2-4-1, or whatever other set of numbers that add up to 10 on the field. Your goalkeeper's not included in that. Just making sure everybody's on the same page. You get that number to add up to 10, that's what it's going to look like. The couple things that, you want to keep in mind, you're going to see those three center backs. That is one hallmark of this system. I think you're going to see those two central midfielders. That's another hallmark. Everything else is flexible. Your wing backs can be defenders, midfielders, or forwards. Your wide forwards can cut inside and play underneath Joseph Martinez to look like 2 10s. This is a very flexible, fluid formation, and that's what the benefit of it is. That's the beauty of it, especially with a team with this much firepower. You let them go play. Frank DeBoer, I think his mindset is we want to be very organized defensively. We don't want to give up anything easily. But in the attack, go play. This is your game. Joseph, Pitti, Barco, Villalba, Gressel when he gets forward, Bello, Shea when he gets forward. Go play. Go find it. It's yours. That's your game. We're not here to tell you what to do in that side. We're not going to tell you to make this run every time. You go play the game that you feel, and that's the important part of it.
Yeah, and for me, I'm leaning toward Brek Shea on the left and Bello coming in to replace Shea, say 65, 70 or so, depending on how guys are right now when it comes to constitution. Wouldn't surprise me if the situation were flipped for the reverse, where you would have a Bello start at home as opposed to starting in an environment like this in Costa Rica on the road. So my leaning, Mike, was toward Shea this go-round with Bello coming in behind, and then flip that script possibly, depending on what happens here tonight, for what we would see in Kennesaw in a week's time.
Before we go to break, David Benson, you're 100% correct, and his pictures are pretty sweet. So couldn't have believed it 2 years ago. Atlanta United would have won the league and now be in Concacaf Champions League 2019. Thanks to SDH for the daily scoop and insight. I would not have guessed that we would be doing SDH from Costa Rica in 2 years. That's the one that I probably didn't expect. This club from day one said that they were going to be a winning club, and there was no fear, no hesitation, no coming in and saying we're going to take our lumps and we'll be all right in a few years. None of that. So a title in the second year, when you look back at it and you really start to connect the dots, it's not as crazy to think about. MLS gives you that opportunity, and that's why I look at clubs when they come in and say, well, we're going to have to build, we're going to start slow. The worldwide market, if you exploit it and you bring in the players that Atlanta has, you don't have to sit back and wait. And now Atlanta is an equipazo, a big club, a giant club in this region. And tonight, we'll see if they can have the results on the field to match up to that. Let's take our final break of hour number 1. We'll take some more questions from you guys on Twitter at @SoccerDownHere. We'll be right back.
Today's show is presented by Apple Linsky & Associates, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience, supporters of Atlanta United, Faction, and Inter-Atlanta Youth Football Club. If you've been hurt in a wreck, contact Steve today at steve@aa-legal.com or call in 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
A ranger station.
I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
I put out my campfire and Smokey Bear hugged me.
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Yep, he's just letting you know you did good.
Bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update.
I'm gonna let you go now. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service Ad Council and your state forester.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Every hiring manager knows that a company is only as good as the people it's made from. So where do you find the best people? That may surprise you.
Meet the grads of life. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
This is talent worth knowing about.
Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Welcome back. SDH on the road in Costa Rica, getting ready for Herediano tonight, Concacaf Champions League. Thanks to our friends over at the Atlanta United subreddit. This is something we're going to do every match day, is a match preview with a couple of keys for each team, give you a couple talking points, things to look for going into the match. One of the comments there, though, John, and I wanted to get your take on this. Darren Eagle on the, it's a great name, by the way, on Reddit. Darren Eagle says, hopefully officiating is not a factor, but I do expect a chippy match and a lot of flopping by the opponent. How Concacaf-y are you expecting this to be tonight, John?
I as the resident pessimist on the show, I always go from a 100% negative and work my way forward. So that way I'm not surprised by anything. And considering the case study that we had last night with Alianza and Monterrey, where it should have been a red, but it wasn't, I would anticipate and expect anything, but I guess that's just because of my makeup. But I'd like for it to be the less Concacaf-y, the better, because then you get to focus on the athletes on the pitch and their individual abilities. But it would not surprise me if you had a Concacaf-y moment or two or eight. But no, my gut says you're going to have at least one, and it's I'm bracing myself for it basically.
However, we do know a little bit about the referee here tonight, and
yes,
he's a World Cup referee, Mike.
Yeah, Ramos from Mexico, all Mexican crew, World Cup center ref. The only center ref from Mexico to go to the World Cup, along with Mark Geiger and Jair Marufo from the U.S. Those were, I think, the only three CONCACAF center refs to go to Russia. I hope I'm not leaving anyone out. Ramos was also the center ref for the 2017 Club World Cup final. It's a good ref. It's a good crew. Atlanta United, this is something we talked about on Stoppage Time. When you get thrown into the CONCACAF Champions League, in these road legs, you get a little bit nervous because the referee can be a wild card and the pitch can be a wild card. In this regard, Atlanta United got two big breaks, in my opinion, because you have a very experienced World Cup center ref, and the pitch is, it's hard. It's artificial, but it is in pristine condition. Jason and I walked it last night. John, you and Doug were down there as well. It's fine. I know there is a 50-50 chance of a shower tonight during the match. Won't be an issue. The pitch is totally fine. So it's not like you're playing on some, goat farm somewhere where you have to worry about falling into a divot or a single.
Newport County.
Right. You're totally fine tonight in that regard. But of all the worries I have in this match, it's not the referee. Ramos is a good one.
We do have a question from Andrew Baker as well. Based off the tweets from Atlanta United, assuming we're rocking the King Peach kits tonight, that is the case. That is definitely the case. Andrew's probably not going to be listening to us, though, tonight, Mike. It's 4 o'clock in the morning kickoff in Munich.
Well, I mean, now, Andrew, what are your priorities, really? I mean,
come on, man.
Surely, you wake up early, you listen to Jason and I for a little Five Stripes After Dark or Before Dawn in Germany. Yeah. I will, bring up, and I brought this up to other people, Five Stripes After Dark tends to produce some very zany moments on the broadcast, like Jason exclaiming "Nutella is life" during Joseph's game-winning goal at San Jose last year.
Didn't happen.
And it's ironic that we're only a few miles down the road from another San Jose, Costa Rica. So, look, I respect your work ethic and your need to get some sleep. That's totally fine, but I'm just warning you, you might miss out on some crazy, kooky, rootin' broadcast Hall of Fame moments tonight.
Yeah, that's definitely the case because we think we're going to be right above some of the rowdy supporters from Herediano. So that's going to bleed over into our broadcast, too. It's going to be a wild atmosphere. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be different.
One day, when the statute of limitations passes and we don't have to worry about seeing Herediano next week, we'll probably be able to tell the full story of how we were able to get the broadcast on the air tonight. We want to get it on the air.
Maybe. We might be able to tell
and then not
story.
play these guys for a few years. But my life's not interesting enough to write a book about. But if we were to do like an oral history on our trip to Herediano, we'd probably have a few fun anecdotes, and we haven't even been here 24 hours yet.
Yeah, we're not even close to game time yet, and we'll have some stories to tell. But not anytime soon. You're going to have to wait probably for the book in that one. What I would say is if you are a fan and you are thinking about going on these kinds of trips and you have the means to do it, go. Yeah. Like, go experience this because, it's just so different from the way, a game in Chicago feels or a game in Denver feels. It's what I think we feel like the game feels like this in Atlanta, and it does. It's different because it's different cultures, but it definitely has this feel. I mean, you go, and it's happened to me. I've gone to a Starbucks on a match day, and people are talking about the match and wondering who's going to start and how this is going to look. You get that here. Mm-hmm. I love that. It's not the case everywhere in the country, and we've seen some of the tweets with some of the conversation about the fact that we're here. I mean, just go back to that. Mm-hmm. The fact that we are in Costa Rica covering this game. We're the only MLS radio team that is covering the game.
Yeah, and Matt Moore, the director of digital and broadcast for Atlanta United, is in an adjoining room in the El Presidente suite that we're currently broadcasting from. I don't know if he's awake yet or not. I don't know how he couldn't be awake. But, he and really Darren Eales, we're going to have to really mention this a lot. The level of support that they've shown us to be able to have us here and travel with the team, 17s, this is not ordinary. This is not normal. Your club has a real commitment to you to try to cover this match as best we can. We are, Jason and I know John too, we're all very, very appreciative of that. But I hope you all understand that this is not ordinary. This is not common. And it's because your club, there are people from the club down here tonight to make sure that Atlanta United supporters get in and out safely. That's not ordinary either. So it's just one more demonstration of the commitment that this club has to its supporters in the city of Atlanta.
All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to get Felipe Cardenas on the line. He says he is going to be joining us from a different tropical destination. Yeah. He's not in Costa Rica. I don't know what tropical destination Felipe is in, but we're going to find out after this. Hang out with us. We'll be right back.
As a business owner, you know that every year brings new challenges and opportunities. The success of your business demands expertise and focus. And Country Financial can help you keep that focus by helping ensure you have the right insurance protection in place to meet your goals. Jason Wright can help you create a customized insurance plan that has coverages designed just for your business. Give Jason a call at 678-568-6871 or reach him on Facebook at Jason Wright Agency. Coverages vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA is a national nonprofit working to transform youth and high school sports so that every child has a positive character-building youth sports experience. PCA provides live and online workshops to train double-goal coaches whose first goal is winning and whose second, more important goal is teaching life lessons through sports. PCA also has workshops for parents and high school student athletes. For more information, please visit positivecoach.org.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, contact my friend Steve Apolensky of Apolensky and Associates. He's been representing individuals for over 30 years throughout Georgia and Alabama. Email him at steve@aa-legal.com or call him 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
I adopted Bento in 2010 from a shelter. This cat makes me make art. He's always motivating me to draw pictures of him. He just is motivating artistically. He's my best friend, but a lot of people know him as Keyboard Cat.
Keyboard Cat, YouTube star and shelter pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Start yours today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you.
Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Soccer Down Here daily on SDH Networks, a division of OSG Sports. Find us at Soccer Down Here on Facebook and Twitter. The time is now the top of the hour. Peep, y'all.
Hour number 2, SDH live on the road in Costa Rica. Jason Longshore, Mike Conti, John Nelson in Costa Rica. We found Felipe Cardenas on a different tropical area. Felipe, where are you today?
I'm in beautiful San Juan, Puerto Rico, my friends. I've been here all week celebrating my wife's birthday with her side of the family. That's from Puerto Rico. And actually, just briefly, quick tidbit: I lived here 8 years when I chased her down here after college. So always a homecoming for me when it's kind of like my adopted island. So yeah, it's been great.
All right, we're going to throw some questions at you kind of one at a time from myself and Mike and John. I'll go first. We talked about it earlier, the garra that you're going to see out of Herediano earlier, and that's the ideas of kind of how they're going to approach this match early on. Give us a little bit of a refresher on your piece over at The Athletic about Atlanta United's garra and what you're going to see from Herediano tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I think that term garra really comes from it's a very kind of South American, Latin American type of term, and that really just means you play through everything. It's about your intensity, your pride, the honor. You're kind of throwing the technical side of the game out the window and just really playing for blood, for victory. So. I think from Atlanta United, the reason why we will see that tonight as well and throughout the season in big games like this is because they have so many South Americans on the team that come from that type of culture, and that they've heard it since they were kids. They've been watching World Cup qualifying for years, and I think a lot of times there are two particular nations in South America that garra is really attributed to as part of their DNA, and that's Paraguay and Uruguay. So even though Miguel left, we don't have a Paraguayan in Atlanta anymore, and there are no Uruguayans. Still, it's very much of a South American term, and really just a footballing term in Latin America. So I think in Costa Rica, it's something that they understand very well. And to your point about what the type of atmosphere that Atlanta United is going to see tonight, I mean, to me it really does remind me of what a World Cup qualifier is. When you're away and you're in a hostile environment with a home team that needs 3 points, needs the result. And you're trying to just get out of there with something that you can take back to the away leg and build off of. So, I think it will be one of those matches where, can you maintain the same level of intensity as the home team? Can you fight through every moment of adversity and really stay focused on just getting out of there with a good result?
Felipe, with that in mind, you had a great piece on Breck Shea a couple weeks ago, and one of the lineup questions that Jason, John, and I have kind of been noodling through this morning is, if you're Frank DeBoer and you're looking at that left wing back, do you go with Breck Shea tonight, who's he obviously has some U.S. men's national team experience. He's been in some Concacaf environments before. Or do you turn the keys over to a 17-year-old George Bello, who started in 2 of the 4 preseason matches with the first team?
Yeah, I think that is the one open question. I have a piece coming out later today about just how Frank DeBoer will really approach his personnel throughout the season, not just tonight and not just in CONCACAF, but just throughout the season. How do you rotate players? How do you manage fatigue and how do you get the best, strongest lineup on the field when you're prioritizing tournaments like CONCACAF? So heads up on that one, but I do get into that question. I think the left back, the left flank position is one of the few position battles on this team. And to your point, I think Breck Shea brings a lot. You could put him out there and you could feel confident that, he's been in big games. He's been in, he scored a goal in a Gold Cup final that the U.S. men's national team won. I believe it was against Panama in Chicago. He was, instrumental for Vancouver in 2017 in their semifinal run in CONCACAF Champions League. So he's a guy that can play there. Now, I think the question is what is the deciding factor for Frank DeBoer? Is it that you have a player in George Bello that understands his system? He's been in the Atlanta United system for, he's on his 3rd year now. And is that something that is, if that's a deciding factor, then he's going to go with George Bello. And really, I think you would be telling a 17-year-old, in this type of environment to, do what you're just really good at, which is, stay composed. I think he's a player that, despite his age, he's very composed on the ball, in possession. I think we know about his athleticism and his speed, which is something that will, I think that's something that this team needs on that side of the field tonight. If we know, if anything, what we know from Herediano is that they do want to use the flanks. They want to attack down, the right and the left side. And if they see a weak spot, which whether it's Breck or George Bello, they're going to say like, that's our side. Let's go down that side. So I think you may want someone that can, level the playing field with speed, athleticism. Someone that you can just coach in a way that, George, stay here, don't, stay in position, stay aware. So my gut is telling me that, I think George Bello has the edge. Tactically, it might be something that he understands a little bit more. Breck is still adapting, to this new team. So it's definitely one of those things that it could be a game time decision for DeBoer. He talked about that when he addressed the media, that it's a difficult decision for him. But one that he's prepared to make, obviously, and no matter what, they're both going to play this season.
So, Felipe, for me, it's my turn to give you the question from 30,000 feet. For those who are experiencing #CCL fever for the first time, we've talked about some of the stuff on the pitch, and I know we'll be getting into more of that. How big a deal is this? What Atlanta United is experiencing as a club, what the fans are experiencing, those who've made the trip, those will be watching tonight. How astronomical a deal is this in the soccer landscape for a team only in its 3rd season starting, who is reigning MLS Cup champ, to be involved in a tournament like this?
Well, it's massive. It's massive. There's so many reasons why. I mean, if I think number one, because Atlanta United is taking this tournament very seriously. They want to win it. They're not just here to take part. They're not just happy to be, invited or have qualified, based on winning MLS Cup. Like, they want to win this tournament. And so just for that, it just makes the importance of tonight's matchup much, much bigger for the club. I think any international tournament will be important for Atlanta United moving forward, even if it's a friendly, honestly. Even if they start playing in summer tournaments where they're, being invited to, a matchup against Atletico Madrid or something like that. Like this club wants to be involved at the global level, at the regional level, as much as possible. So it's very important for the club. It's very important for MLS to have a team like Atlanta United representing, being one of the teams that's representing the league in this cup, because I think they see Atlanta United as they're a different type of contender. They are an exciting team, a dynamic team, an international-led team with a new manager. A player that this is my gut. This is me saying, I don't think Pity Martinez, his arrival, has been given the level of importance that it deserves, to be perfectly honest with you. And so tonight is one of those moments where, really the world will see him in a different uniform, and what can he bring to the table. So, it's huge. And I think it helps a club like Atlanta United that they're facing a very good team. They're not playing an unknown team from Guatemala, for instance, which is a team that Houston Dynamo played the other day. No disrespect to the Guatemalan champions, but it was their first time ever in Concacaf Champions League. I think for Atlanta United, they're going to get a taste of what this tournament has always been like, and it's a great measuring stick for them to come in and play against a perennial Costa Rican champion, and a team that really needs this win tonight. So everything is out there for them, and if this is something that Atlanta United can become accustomed to every season they're in the Concacaf Champions League, it can only mean great things for the club moving forward.
Felipe, let's get into what defines success tonight for both teams. If Herediano comes out of this match happy, what do they get out of it? What happens? And if Atlanta United comes out of the match happy, what is it that they've been able to accomplish tonight, in your opinion?
Herediano has to win. Bottom line, they have got to win this game. I think if they win, let's say it's a 1-0 victory, they'll be pleased. But I don't think they'll be ecstatic, because they still need to come back to Atlanta, and obviously they're going to be looking to defend a 1-0 lead for 90 minutes, which is very difficult to do in any environment against any opponent. So, I think they want a comfortable win. Obviously, that's going to be very difficult, but they need to impress. They need the 3 points. Like you mentioned before I jumped on, Hernan Medford and a lot of the players here truly are playing for their careers with this club. That's how big a moment it is for them, and I think it says a lot about where they are this season. For Atlanta United, this is a survival game. Like I said it last week on the show, it's icing on the cake if after the match the commentary is around how great they look tactically, and how dominant they were in possession, and how fluid they were in the attack. I think this is one of those games where they just need to get out of Costa Rica with if it's a tie, great. If they can get an away goal, that's important. If they win 1-0, I think that's, if Atlanta United wins 1-0, it would be a tremendous result for them. So, really that's why this is classic 2-leg football, where the home team is really forced to come out and play. They have the fans behind them. This is not an MLS, matchup here where the home team, if they're not playing well, and the fans either they just turn off, or they're not sure what's going to happen. This 25 minutes, 35 minutes in, this is still 0-0 where Atlanta takes the lead. You're going to hear an entire stadium whistling. They're going to lose their minds. They're going to lose their patience very quickly with their team, and that'll play into Atlanta United's favor. So I think obviously it's pretty clear cut. Herediano needs to win, no matter by any score possible, just for confidence. And then Atlanta United, get the result that they need, and the confidence that they're going to be back home with some sort of advantage in the return leg.
Felipe, can Atlanta United win this tournament?
Yes, of course. It's not going to be easy, though, at all. I think it's the first week, round of matches, we saw how, what can happen if you take this tournament lightly. I think Toronto FC, they have their own situation going on right now, but they obviously were not prepared mentally for that match, and they were, thoroughly owned by the home team, a Panamanian team in Independiente. So this is not an easy tournament. I think it doesn't matter who you play, whether it's an unknown team or a perennial champion like Herediano or Saprissa. No matter what, it's just a different animal. And, Michael Parkhurst talked about it. You can see it. You can see these teams that's the game of their lives. They want to beat the MLS teams. They want to beat the American sides. They want that for them. Those are headlines for them. Those are confidence boosters for them. So Atlanta United, in order to win this tournament, they just need to stay focused and understand that they can be eliminated tonight. They can be behind the 8 ball after one match, and they can't afford to do that. Now, if they get by Herediano, it just gets more difficult from here on out. So it's a difficult tournament. I think they are, in my opinion, favorite. Are they the favorite? I'm not sure yet. I think a team like Tigres, who despite having they lost the first leg against Saprissa, I think they're still a team that can turn that around. They have a $1 million roster, and even a team like Saprissa, who I just respect the hell out of. I think they're a team that can also advance. They can get by Tigres, and they're going to become one of those top 3, top 4 favorites. So yeah, Atlanta United for me is up there, but it's one game at a time. They need to win tonight, and they need to get through this first leg.
Let me go back to the article that you put out on The Athletic about the differences with Tata Martino and Frank de Boer in charge. Was there one thing that stuck out to you that may have surprised you in piecing it together that you didn't know or didn't anticipate getting an answer from? Because, to me, it seems like it's the old Tom Coughlin adage of now, under Frank de Boer, if you're 5 minutes early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. And if you're late, you're out. You just, what are you doing here? You're not here today, kind of a thing. Was there one thing or a couple of things that may have stuck out to you in the analysis of the differences in putting the article together?
Honestly, I don't know if I was that surprised, and for a few reasons. One, because I've been at the training ground when we're waiting for the players that are going to be available for that particular day. Under Tata Martino, oftentimes it was before training, and so we would be there waiting, and they weren't always on time. The coaches are taking their time, or they're finishing breakfast, or they're having a meeting and whatnot. And so sometimes it would be, after 10. Let's say practice is at 10, and you would see, Tito kind of like strolling out, like a lot of guys kind of just like casually going out on the field, and even Tata he still had to talk to us. So I'm sitting there doing the math, and I'm like, they're not going to start practice for another 15 or 20 minutes. And now what Parker's told me, which it wasn't in the piece, but it was like, he was very adamant that it was a casual atmosphere, but training was very intense, like extremely intense. So it's just different styles. And he made a point to tell me that it's just two different styles. There isn't really a preference. He wasn't trying to say, hey, Frank, the way Frank is going to do it is going to be better. It's just two different management styles. And I think what this says, really what the theme of that piece is that managers do influence culture. A club can have a DNA, a club can have an identity, and that's something that Carlos Bocanegra and Darren Eales talk about a lot. That this club has its own culture, its own DNA. It's very important to them, and that is all true. But when a manager comes in, he is the leader of the clubhouse. He is the CEO, if you will. And he is going to have his own rules, and he's going to change things because he feels like it's going to benefit the squad. And some are just, flat out personal preferences. So, I've gotten a lot of comments. I've seen a lot of tweets of, supporters asking like, how are the South Americans going to deal with this? Are they struggling? And my answer is very simple. this shouldn't be that new for them. Only because they realize the club that they are playing for is a big club now. This is like Jason said, es un equipazo. It's a team that wants to be great. It's a team that wants to be the biggest club in North America. And so that's what you get when you play for these clubs. You don't always get the manager that speaks in your first language. And you have to deal with different environments and different cultures and different teammates, different backgrounds. And so I think this is just one of those like natural evolutions of Atlanta United. And it makes a lot of sense having a European manager that prefers players to be on time, and everyone is lifting weights 30 minutes before training. That's something that Michael told me as well. Like they're all in there together 30 minutes before training. They're doing weights, and then they walk out onto the training field together and they begin practice. And so it's just a different way of doing things. I honestly wasn't that surprised, but I can understand how it is a big shift culturally. And that's what I really wanted to get at, because I think it's something that should be addressed. I think it's still, Tata left in December. We're only a few months away from that. So there's still going to be a little bit of those, a little bit of residue from the previous coaching staff. And this team hasn't played yet. And so now tonight is when we see, is this team adapting well? And I've said it before, if they confront some sort of adversity tonight, what does that look like? What is Frank's demeanor going to be like? How will he coach the team in those situations? How will they react to him and to each other if things don't go well? So I think that's what's fascinating about the cultural change in Atlanta United right now.
Finishing up with Felipe Cardenas. Make sure you're following him on Twitter, Felipe Car, and reading everything he's putting out over at The Athletic. Felipe, final question quickly. Any predictions you'd like to make for tonight? If you don't want to go scoreline, that's completely cool. But what are you expecting to happen tonight? What's a prediction you would like to make about the match?
Yeah, I mean, I tend to stay away from scorelines. I think it's so hard. And I think when you nail it, you kind of feel like, yes, maybe I should be in Vegas. And when you don't, you look like you don't know what you're talking about. So I will predict, and you touched on it before, and this is going off, just hard data, meaning that Frank de Boer mentioned this when he spoke to the Spanish language media on Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. And it's about shape, and you already brought this up, but he was asked, what are the few things that you've worked on with the team specifically? And this jives exactly with what Michael Parkhurst told me, and it's a hard focus on defensive shape with this team. Michael Parkhurst told me that it's like one of the first things that Frank has focused on is how do we look defensively? What are we defensively? How can we improve there? And so he was asked that question by the Spanish media on Tuesday, and he went right back to that. He said, yes, like we are working very hard defensively. And he mentioned set pieces as well. I'm sure that's something that he has seen from before, that set pieces were a weakness for Atlanta United, something that Tata Martino was very public about. And so the 5-4-1 was a formation that Frank de Boer mentioned in his answer in Spanish. That it's something that, and it was very specific though. He said we've worked on the 5-4-1, and this is a difficult translation, but what he said in Spanish is that we've worked on the 5-4-1 when we don't feel comfortable on the pitch. So what does that mean? I think that means when you're in a very intense environment, when the team is the home team is going to be coming at you, 100 miles per hour, where perhaps your first touch might be getting the ball out of your zone immediately. Falling back into a more defensive shape is something that they've trained, something that they will now do naturally. So I think that's my prediction is that we will see an Atlanta United team that will be happy to kind of sit back and be solid defensively. And Jason, you said it yourself, when they attack, they're going to let their attackers do what they do. But when they don't have possession, they're going to be in a defensive shape. They don't want to lose that shape too early on. And I think that's what we're going to see. We're going to see, my prediction is an Atlanta United team that is playing to their coach's strengths, which is defensive shape, defensive intellect, and safety first. And if from there they can somehow grab possession and dominate possession and attack fluidly, that's cake. But I think we're going to see a team that wants to play defensively, wants to be smart, and wants to get out of Costa Rica with a very good result.
Felipe, thanks for taking the time from a lovely vacation in Puerto Rico to join us this morning. Next time, maybe we'll all get in the same tropical location. How about that?
I hope so. Looking forward. I'm going to go back to my mimosa. It's been chilling for me in the kitchen, so I'm going to go back to that, and then I'm going to head out to the beach before I log in tonight for the match. So, yes, I hope in the future we're all together.
Definitely. Thanks, Felipe. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back right after this.
Today's show is presented by Appolinsky and Associates, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience, supporters of Atlanta United, Faction, and Inter-Atlanta Youth Football Club. If you've been hurt in a wreck, contact Steve today at steve@aa-legal.com or call in 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
A ranger station.
I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
I put out my campfire and Smokey Bear hugged me.
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he's just letting you know you did good.
Bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update.
I'm gonna let you go now. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service Ad Council and your state forester.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Every hiring manager knows that a company is only as good as the people it's made from. So where do you find the best people? That may surprise you.
Meet the grads of life. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
This is talent worth knowing about.
Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Welcome back. Make sure you follow Felipe Cardenas, Felipe Carr, and all of his great work at The Athletic. Make sure you get your predictions in, too, in the Bailey Daily poll on Twitter, jbailey86, with his poll about what you think is going to happen tonight. We're going to talk about that next, as we always do on Matchday or ahead of Matchday, with our buddy Doug Robertson over at the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. He is actually on the same floor as John Nelson in their hotel across town. Doug will also be connecting via Skype, so instead of going in and crashing John's room and taking his phone out of his hands, we're going to get Doug on the line, and we're going to take a quick break to do that. Get your predictions in at Soccer Down here in tonight's match, and get ready for Doug.
As a business owner, you know that every year brings new challenges and opportunities. The success of your business demands expertise and focus. And Country Financial can help you keep that focus by helping ensure you have the right insurance protection in place to meet your goals. Jason Wright can help you create a customized insurance plan that has coverages designed just for your business. Give Jason a call at 678-568-6871 or reach him on Facebook at Jason Wright Agency. Coverages vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA is a national nonprofit working to transform youth and high school sports so that every child has a positive character-building youth sports experience. PCA provides live and online workshops to train double-goal coaches whose first goal is winning and whose second, more important goal is teaching life lessons through sports. PCA also has workshops for parents and high school student athletes. For more information, please visit positivecoach.org.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, contact my friend Steve Apolinski of Apolinski and Associates. He's been representing individuals for over 30 years throughout Georgia and Alabama. Email him at steve@aa-legal.com or call him 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
I adopted Bento in 2010 from a shelter. This cat makes me make art. He's always motivating me to draw pictures of him. He just is motivating artistically. He's my best friend, but a lot of people know him as Keyboard Cat.
Keyboard Cat, YouTube star and shelter pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Start yours today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you.
Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back, SDH on the road in Costa Rica. We are efforting Doug Robertson. John might have to go down and actually knock on his door and hand him the phone. We might have to make that happen. Skype is a little tricky. We're working through it. We'll get into predictions. And
I'd have to actually remember what his room number is, too.
Mike does not make predictions, so he's not going to make a score prediction tonight. But I'll ask you, Mike, the same question that I asked Felipe. Not about the score, but something that you are predicting will take place tonight.
I think we're going to have a penalty. And I don't know which team will get it, but I think we're going to have a penalty tonight. This feels to me like this is going to be a choppy, grinding, maybe at times chippy match where there are going to be some decisions that Ramos, the referee, will have to make. And I just get the feeling that when you have a match like this where there is a wide talent gulf, a bad bounce here into someone's hand or a weird collision there, I think we're going to have a penalty tonight. I know that's a very, very specific prediction, probably not something you were expecting me to.
I like it.
But I think we'll have a penalty. The other thing, I think Atlanta United is going to look like a club that is not playing in its first competitive match tonight. I think the 2 weeks in California, I know they were all eager to get home after that, but I think that was a pretty brilliant move by Frank de Boer to try to assemble the club away from Atlanta. I don't want to say it's forced bonding, but it really gives you an opportunity where you have no other choice than to play together, live together, and be with each other for 2 weeks. And it's something that Felipe talked about a little bit, how they lift weights together now, they go out to training together, they walk out on the pitch together. I really feel like we're not going to have a repeat of what we had last year in Houston, where you really had questions in the first half of that match. Do these guys have the chemistry yet? Do these guys look like they've been playing together? Did they play enough preseason matches? These were all questions that we had last year. I don't anticipate that tonight. I think Atlanta United will come out with precision and sharpness. And I count this as the competitive opener for 2019.
100%.
Atlanta United did not win its competitive opener in 2017, nor did they in 2018. I think they will look much better in their competitive opener in 2019.
Yeah, and I don't know if they get the win tonight either. I think they can. I think they're facing an opponent that is struggling a bit, and that's definitely going to help. I think a draw is completely fine, though. And really what I want to go back to before we get Doug on the line is what Felipe was talking about at the end about the formation and the shape and what that's going to look like, defensive responsibility, defensive organization. We didn't really know anything about that in 2017 going into game one. We didn't know much about it in 2018 going into game one. But the 5-4-1, when you fall back into it, when things aren't comfortable, as Frank de Boer said, and you want to find that comfort, you get defensive, you go 5-4-1. What was the shape against the Red Bulls at Red Bull Arena in the second leg? 5-4-1.
5-4-1.
It was Miguel Almiron dropping in as a left-sided midfielder. That's what they did there in that situation with a cushion, but still, it's a comfortable thing that you didn't have in 2017. You didn't have it at the beginning of 2018, and Tata Martino developed it. And Frank de Boer's not bringing something completely different to the table here, but he's taking it to maybe a different place slightly. But you're not going into year 3 with the same questions and I think limitations that you did in the first 2 years.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. And I think, another key aspect of this, too, is that for probably at least 9, if not 10, of your starting 11 tonight, they've all played together for a year to some extent. And the 11th, Pity Martinez, might be the most elite player technically in MLS. I mean, we're going to find out in pretty short order. So I don't have those concerns this year that I did going into last season. I also think I know, look, this is a lot of travel and it's a lot of matches to throw to a club right at the start of the season. I think it's a real positive that you're playing these matches tonight and next Thursday. I think, and no disrespect to the Carolina Challenge Cup, but playing Concacaf Champions League against Herediano gets you way more adequately prepared for the grind of the MLS season and what you're going to see next Sunday night in D.C. than playing with reserves against Charleston Battery or, working your way through Carolina Challenge Cup where, you're together for a week and you play 3 matches, but it just doesn't have the same caliber of competitive fire.
All right, we're joined now by Doug Robertson of the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. How's it going, Doug?
Hey, Jason. Sorry it took you a bit to get with me. I got a different phone, and I forgot that I wasn't signed into Skype anymore.
Oh, no worries.
Microsoft
we're
doesn't
all
make
on,
anything
Tico
easy.
time. Pura vida, my friend.
Now, Doug, here's the big question, and this is something that Jason and I have not figured out. I don't know if John's figured this out either. What does Doug Roberson do for 12 hours on a day where the match doesn't kick off until 9 p.m. and he's on the road? Because with traffic around here, we would be better off walking to whatever we're going to do today. And I absolutely have no idea what we're going to do for the next 8 hours to kill time.
Yeah, and I've already done a blog and have written a story, so I kind of have nothing to do for the rest of the day. I thought I might try to take a taxi or Uber downtown and walk around for a bit and then come back and take a nap. This is going to sound like such a first world problem. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do for dinner before the game, because looking at it yesterday, I'm fairly sure we're not going to have food at the stadium. And we have to get there so early that trying to figure out what to do is an interesting little first world problem.
Now, Doug, I actually have some good news for you. Jason and I inspected the media zone last night, and there is a Bono with running water in the press box. The bad news is the door does not close. So I just want to give you the heads up for that as you make your way out to Herediano tonight. I think the food is an excellent point, but, the other stuff might be a little more urgent, and there's good news and bad news on that, I guess.
So
well, what you don't know,
I think.
What you don't know is I'm not sitting in that little tiny press box with y'all. They've got us. At first, I was told by 2 different people that I would be sitting in the stands, which is okay, except there's no power or anything like that. But then another woman who I think knows a little bit more said they're going to have some of the press up in that covered area behind the goal next to that main gate. They're going to put us up there tonight. So I still don't know if there's going to be power or a reachable Wi-Fi signal. But at least if it rains, I won't have my computer out in the rain.
Yeah, this is different. This is fun.
It's going to be fun. Yeah, it's going to be fun. Yeah. It's an interesting little challenge.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So we haven't had a chance to catch up with you as the preseason got underway. We've talked a lot this morning about just what Atlanta United's approach will be tonight. How defensive will they be? Will they find that comfort level early on? What are you expecting on the field tonight from Atlanta?
Yeah, you can go back and forth. You could see either approach, either a super defensive approach or a let's just go ahead and take the crowd out of the game and try to score approach. I think it's going to be just an extremely loud, cacophonous, however that word is pronounced, atmosphere tonight. I wouldn't be surprised if Atlanta United just tries to sit the first 8 minutes, just try to get some touches of the ball, try to take the crowd out a little bit before they start to try to string some good, dangerous combination passes together and score. They scored a lot of goals against their first 2 preseason opponents, but neither of which were even remotely close to full strength in Seattle and Tijuana. But then when they started to play LAFC and Galaxy, a lot of those chances kind of dried up. So I'm curious to see if they're able to create a few more tonight against a Herediano squad that's not playing particularly well in its league this year compared to what we saw in those last 2 preseason games.
And Doug, thank you for dropping my name in your travel blog. By the way, that was very nice. But and I think it was a good window into what it's like for us to be here and be a part of something this big. If I had asked you, if you and I were sitting together before opening day 3 years ago, and I had told you that this is where we would be today, getting ready for a Concacaf Champions League match against Herediano in Costa Rica, what would you have said?
I would have said I probably need to look up how you qualify for the Champions League first, all the different ways. But it would have been surprising. I would have been surprised to be here this year, I think. I think I was probably projecting more after the 3rd year that the team could be here. But it's certainly a cool adventure and a cool experience. And you look at the different prognostications for the MLS teams in this cup, and Atlanta United is picked to do better than all the other MLS teams. And, depending upon how the dominoes fall, they could win the whole thing.
Yeah, I think they come in as one of the favorites. You look at Monterrey, you look at Tigres, and you look at Atlanta as the 3 teams that, are the most highly valued rosters when you look at player values. They're the equipazos, the big clubs now. Santos Laguna, I think, is there, and they came out with a huge first leg performance to make their case for that. We'll see what Kansas City does tonight. They're a team that I would also keep an eye on in this competition.
Yeah, I don't know for Kansas City who's going to score the goals in the big moments. That's
a good question
I have about them.
No, absolutely. I think they're balanced, but you're right. They've struggled since trading Dom Dwyer for that focal point up top. And who is it going to be now, or is it going to come from guys like Felipe Gutierrez, Johnny Russell, guys out of the midfield? We'll have to see how Peter Vermes approaches it. It'll be a challenge for Toluca going in tonight to play in Kansas City. Temperature somewhere between 25 and freezing. It's going to be a little different for them, and we'll see if Kansas City can take advantage. But let's get to the overall importance of the tournament. How important is it for Atlanta United to perform well in this tournament? And what does perform well mean to you?
If Tata Martino were still the manager, I don't know. I mean, obviously the team wants to perform well, but I don't really know how important it would be because they've already won the MLS Cup. He's proven I know what I'm doing with this team. For new manager Frank de Boer, based upon his previous 2 stops at Crystal Palace and Inter, I think that it would do a world of good for Atlanta United to play well tonight. Not necessarily to win, but to at least play well, to score a couple of goals, and just kind of show that, it's going to be a smooth transition from one manager to the next. As far as winning the whole thing, it's an odd thing because I was tweeting with someone yesterday on the flight here. I don't know if the Club World Cup, which is the berth that you would receive for winning the CONCACAF Champions League, if I would even place it in the top 20 of club-affiliated or club trophies in world soccer, in terms of prestige or importance. But it would be cool and good for Atlanta United's branding to make it to that event, because they would get to play potentially Real Madrid or Borussia Dortmund or Juventus in a game that would actually matter, as opposed to these preseason things in the summer when those clubs are just kind of working kinks out and getting their legs back under them. And I guess it would be good to be thought of as the best club in North America, North and Central America, for what that's worth.
The big lineup question that we've been kind of working around today has been, what do you do at left wing back, where you have Breck Shea, who started 2 preseason friendlies with the first team, a lot of experience in CONCACAF play with the U.S. men's national team. You have George Bello, a 17-year-old. It'd be a very, very tough spot to throw him in tonight on the road, but someone that Felipe pointed out to us earlier obviously has a higher degree of comfort with Atlanta United system because he's been here longer. I know you put out your projected 11 yesterday. How do you see that shaking out between Shea and Bello tonight?
I think it'll be Shea. There's actually no player on Atlanta United that has more experience in the Concacaf Champions League than Shea, who has nine previous appearances in this thing. I think that Herediano, as Michael Parkhurst pointed out, is a big team physically. They have some tall players. Shea is by far the tallest player next to Florentine Pogba on Atlanta United's roster. I think you need that height, that speed, and just that size tonight compared to Bello, who looks like he's grown quite a lot in the past couple of months, but still is just miniature compared to Shea. Shea is just going to have to be very focused and not make some of the passes that we saw him make in the preseason tonight, because otherwise he could put Atlanta United into some trouble.
So I know that we're going to get into the predictions part of the program here in just a second, but when you look at all of the other MLS sides, we mentioned Sporting and what they've got going with Toluca, and what Houston was able to do, what Toronto wasn't able to do, what Red Bulls were able to do. When you look at MLS's participation on the whole heading into the last night of Leg 1, what have been some of your big takeaways from MLS's activities here in the CCL Fever?
Houston, I thought, played a smart game. I didn't really rate Houston very highly coming into this season. When I'm writing my capsules that you'll see in the season preview that'll come out the Sunday of the MLS opener. But
Excellent
I kind
plug.
of changed my mind. Yeah, thank you. I kind of changed my mind a little bit after that performance. Toronto just has nothing. It's a shame what is going on with Toronto. But it just looks like a team that is playing with only 9 or 10 men at a time on the field. That Red Bulls game, I tried to watch that last night while I was eating dinner, and it was just some bad soccer. That's not to say Red Bulls were bad, just a bad field, bad opponent. The Red Bulls looked like a team playing their first game. That first Bradley Wright Phillips goal was such a pure Bradley Wright Phillips goal, it was almost funny. But I think they're going to be good. Sporting KC, I just don't know. I struggle with how they're going to score. Losing Opara, who's going to partner with Beasler in the back. I still don't get the fascination with Graham Zusi. I think he's a liability on defense. So I think Red Bulls and Atlanta United will probably go deepest in the tournament.
All right, let's get into our predictions. If you haven't chimed in yet and you are listening, Jay Bailey 86 has our poll. At this point, and this will change as the day goes on, Atlanta United winning by 1 goal is in the lead, 49%. Atlanta winning by 2+ goals, 40%. Draw, ugly or otherwise, 11%. No one has picked Atlanta United to lose. That's bold. This is not going to be easy tonight. John, you want to go first on the predictions in the Copa Especial here? I guess since we're going to have a separate competition for Cup predictions.
Yeah, so I will go first. I will not Mourinho this one coming out of the blocks. I think that it will have its I think it'll have its chippy moments. You might even have a Concacaf moment or two, but I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw, and Atlanta United comes out of here with you're going to end up with a draw and get the opportunity to take care of business at home. I think that tonight is a learning experience for the first little while, then they get settled into the match and then take advantage of the superior athletic folks that they have out there. So I'll go 1-1 draw.
All right, John on the board with a 1-1. Doug, what are you thinking tonight?
That's a good question. I think the atmosphere is going to be crazy, absolutely crazy, and I think it's going to influence the refereeing. I think it's going to influence the game. Oh man, I think it's going to be a 0-0 draw, which is a good result for Atlanta United, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, I would take that and run. I'm going the other way completely, Doug, from you. I think it's going to be a wild, crazy game, but I think it's going to have some sloppiness in it defensively. I think there's going to be goals. I've bounced back and forth on what I think is going to happen, but after seeing Herediano play a little bit, I feel like Atlanta United is the better team even at this stage, and I just don't see a lot of goals from the run of play from Herediano. I do think they score, though, and I think they probably get a couple. I've got them with 2 because set pieces have been very strong for them, and the motivation of just their season on the line and potentially Arnon Medford's job on the line. I think that's going to motivate Herediano, and they're going to get 2. But I think Atlanta United exploits their lack of pace in some areas of the field. I think just the fact that they aren't very organized tactically. It's pretty basic with a 4-4-2 and 2 holding midfielders sitting deep. Their wingers can get exposed. Their outside backs have to get forward to create chances, and they haven't done much of that. But then the back line is exposed. And I think out wide, whether it's Shea or Bello on the left, Gressel on the right, they're going to have a lot of room to work in. And when Pity Martinez or Barco or Villalba drift out there too to create 2v1 situations, it's going to be a huge problem for Herediano. I think it's 3-2 Atlanta. I think they come out of here really happy with the performance against a team that is not what they were 8 weeks ago. Herediano is not the team that won the Costa Rican title. Medford took over the team from Hafid Soto, and it's been a mess. They've had to sell some players. They just don't have the pieces right now, and they don't have the confidence coming in either, and that's, I think, as big of an issue as any. I'm going 3-2 Atlanta. We have a 1-1 from John. We have a scoreless draw from Doug. That's on the board now in the Copa Especial, and we'll see how this shakes out as the season goes on. But, Doug, you said you've got some pieces ready to go. What does your timeline look like between now and post-match so people can check up on your work over at the AJC?
I am just now posting as I was listening to you. Why Atlanta can win the whole thing. I've already posted my projections for Atlanta United's 11. I posted yesterday. You can find at Doug Robertson AJC on Twitter or on the Atlanta United channel on AJC.com. A story on why Atlanta United must match Herediano's intensity, because they are going to come out with their hair on fire. It's going to be fun. And now I'm going to try to go downtown and buy a Herediano T-shirt or 2 and something for my beautiful wife, Annette, before I come back to Atlanta. And I'll have a crap load of stuff from the game tonight.
That's the official term.
And on the Twitter feed tomorrow, if I make it back to the hotel alive.
That's a very, very bold statement there, Doug, and very technical terminology. I like
it. We've been through the traffic. We know what's going on here.
Yeah, if we get to the stadium in one piece through traffic and rush hour, which I think rush hour is all day. All the traffic getting out of there when we left last night wasn't too bad. So
no, it wasn't, but it still took 1,000 years to get to the hotel.
We'll see. This has been an adventure, a fun one, though. Doug, we'll see you over at the Estadio later today. Thanks for hopping on with us.
Nope, thanks, guys. We'll see you.
And we're going to take our final break, come back, wrap up with some tweets from you guys out there listening. You have some predictions, you have some questions, throw them at us now at Soccer Down Here. We'll be right back.
Today's show is presented by Apolinski and Associates, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience, supporters of Atlanta United, Faction, and Inter-Atlanta Youth Football Club. If you've been hurt in a wreck, contact Steve today at steve@aa-legal.com or call in 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
A ranger station.
I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
I put out my campfire and Smokey Bear hugged me.
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Yep, he's just letting you know you did good.
Bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update.
I'm gonna let you go now. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service Ad Council and your state forester.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Every hiring manager knows that a company is only as good as the people it's made from. So where do you find the best people? That may surprise you.
Meet the grads of life. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
This is talent worth knowing about.
Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Welcome back. Final segment, SDH on the road in Costa Rica, getting ready for some Concacaf Champions League, some Conca Champions tonight. Atlanta United, Herediano. All your broadcast plans. Univision Deportes, 10 o'clock in Spanish. Yahoo Sports desktop app streaming in English. Listen to us on 92.9 The Game starting at 9:30 with Five Stripes Countdown. Kickoff will be right after 10 o'clock. There won't be a post-match show because we have a plane we have to catch to get home tonight. So tomorrow morning sometime. I don't know. Time and space is all out of whack at this point. So no post-game show tonight. Mike and I might try to record something on the way to the airport and get it posted on Twitter, social media, so you can get our more full thoughts after the match. On Twitter, I think we have a couple people completely infected by the CCL fever. Austin Arvidsson, Chris Kilroy with huge predictions. Austin goes 4-1. Joseph 2 goals. Pitti with a goal. Barco with a goal. Chris Kilroy 5-0. He's going nuts. If those happen, and I don't want to say they can't because this type of competition does lend itself to craziness. And with a team like Herediano that is struggling, score a couple goals early, things can fall apart. And that raucous crowd atmosphere that Doug was talking about can turn against the home team. We've seen it. I mean, the talk is maybe they don't sell out tonight because it's been a slow start. We saw Santos Laguna go to Honduras yesterday and beat Marathon in a big way. It's not completely crazy from Austin or Chris, but I'm thinking it's going to be a cagier game and a little bit closer, Mike.
Yeah, and sloppy. It's because it is the first game, and you're playing against a club that's played, 9 league matches together now. So, I mean, a big number would really, really shock me, but not out of the realm of possibilities you pointed out. I think, again, sloppy, probably chippy, moments where Atlanta United will hold on for dear life. If you get a road goal out of this, great. If you get a win out of this, even better. But you've got to look at this in the same way you looked at the MLS Cup playoffs last year. This is a 180-minute match, not a 90-minute match. You put up a big number on the road, Herediano might send the B team up to Kennesaw because it'd be pointless. If Herediano wins 1-0, they've got more than a pulse. I mean, they've got a great chance to win this. So let's tamp down the expectations a little bit. I love the optimism, but I don't quite share it to that degree.
And away goals are a tiebreaker. It's the same setup as the MLS Cup playoffs last year, the old MLS Cup playoff format, which I kind of prefer. 2 legs, away goals are your first tiebreaker. No away goal tiebreaker after it goes to extra time in the second leg. John, Andrew Baker chimes in and says, this might be a problem, might sound heretical and all, but even in a narrow loss tonight, a big win for Andrew will be getting through the game without any injuries. I know we have a deep squad, but you don't want a Toronto 2018 injury crisis. You know, that's been something we've talked about in preseason is you're preparing for the long haul here. Injuries and avoiding injuries is one of those crucial factors tonight.
Yeah, it is. And I know that, you know, any injuries in the first match out of the blocks, you're going to have folks who are going to have the amplified reactions. And since this is not, you know, MLS season, even though it is an important competition to get into, you want to make sure everybody gets through safely. And I know that, you know, once again, we've all been on that pitch and we know what it is. And it could present some challenges, and, you know, it's just, you got to take care of yourselves just as much as you do the ball when you're trying to get through a match like this.
Yeah, let's go back through the competition a little bit. This was something, since we didn't have a show yesterday, the Toronto game, we've talked about it a little bit. Percy, you called me out and you're correct. I did say a second team Toronto team could take care of business. They were not a second team completely, although they had some different faces in that I didn't expect. They were horrible. I mean, it was as bad as it can be in a competitive match, and there's no excuse for it. You can throw Sebastian Giovinco out there and say that's an excuse. It's not, because I don't think you handled that situation well as a club. They knew he wanted a new contract. It seems like they were not going to give him the same type of salary. And according to Ali Curtis and Bill Manning, president of the club, he was not willing to budge off that number. And I would hope that they would have known that last summer in the transfer window. And I'm pretty sure they knew that at the beginning of the postseason after they didn't make the playoffs. So they had from November 1 to prepare for this. They didn't. And it showed, not just from the lack of that. The Josie Altidore injury is unfortunate. You had to start Terrence Boyd. Boyd, first game, penalty, it would still be flying if there wasn't that fence behind the goal. That's not a good situation. You didn't have anything off the bench to change it. It looked like a team that was not prepared, and that's the biggest issue here. When you have 2 veteran center backs like Chris Mavinga and Laurent Simon look like they didn't know each other's name and how disconnected they were, I will go back to what I said. A second-team Toronto squad could have taken care of business, but not if they're prepared like that. Not if they're prepared like they were Tuesday night in Panama. And let's also not diminish what Independiente did. This is a club that has been in the first division for a year. This is a scrappy group, a very undersized group, fast. There's players in that team that I wouldn't mind seeing come into MLS, or if it's USL at first. There's quality in that squad, and they caught everybody by surprise. You don't want to take anything away from what they did. And the biggest thing that they did in this first leg is once they got the first goal, and you could sense the heads dropping a little bit from Toronto. You could see the arguing start to pop up, the questions as goals started coming in. They put their foot on the gas and kept going. And they're going to need that, because second leg for them is in Toronto next Tuesday. The last time I checked the weather in Toronto for next Tuesday, the low was 22, the high was 29, 40% chance of snow. That's not going to be easy for Independiente to go in and even hold a 4-0 lead. They needed
especially
every one
on
of
that
those
pitch
4
at BMO.
goals. Yeah, I mean, and we don't know what the field conditions at BMO Field. Who knows what they're going to look like. This is not going to be easy for them even to hold a 4-0 lead. That 4th goal could be critical here. So full credit to Independiente, and you just got to wonder what's up with Toronto. We'll talk about hot seats as we get into next week and what the coaching carousel could look like after the season in MLS and during the season. Greg Vanney's name is starting to come up more. There were questions out of Toronto about him last year. I didn't think they were really fair with all the injuries they had. Now you kind of have to wonder, and is that chorus going to get louder in Toronto about what's going on from the top down with Toronto FC? They should be better than this. I think they still should have been better than they were last year, even with the injuries all at the same position. They weren't. Now you have bigger questions. You have a new GM in place. What's going to happen there? Because they're a flagship for the league, and it is an embarrassment for MLS when they go down on the road to a team that is 1 year into the first division in Panama and get trounced. You know, that whole thing, let's go back to something Felipe said. All right, let's take what Independiente did against Toronto and take that to tonight. Let's say Herediano gets an early goal. Let's say it looks disjointed. Atlanta United has a plan. When things aren't comfortable and you fall back into that 5-4-1, sometimes you don't have it. Sometimes it's not there. You've got to minimize damage, Mike, and it's 180 minutes. You give up a couple goals, you look shaky, you go back into the 5-4-1, you pack it in, and you get out of town with what you have and take care of business next week.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, Atlanta United is more veteran than the average age of the club shows you. You have Michael Parkhurst, who's a U.S. men's national team veteran, has played in Concacaf international matches before. Prexay, as Doug pointed out, very experienced in Concacaf Champions League. I think a guy like Eric Remedi can be enormously important in a match like this tonight because he's had to play in some grimy matches in his career. Leandro Gonzalez-Perez, obviously. You have a men's national team goalkeeper in Brad Guzan. The one thing about Herediano that I pointed out a couple times is you have a lot of players on this club with World Cup experience themselves. So, like we said earlier, there's pressure on Herediano. There's a lot of media pressure right now here in Costa Rica. This match is getting a ton of attention. But you're going to face a lot of guys tonight who've played in World Cups, and I don't think that can be discounted. So you're right. I mean, if Atlanta United comes out of here with a 1-0 defeat, we hope that doesn't happen, but that's really not the end of the world because it still puts you in a position where you can come back home to Kennesaw, get a clean sheet, try to find a goal or two, and move on. And right now it's all about surviving and advancing.
Let's get into some final questions on Twitter, John, before we go. Question from Kefsey. Sounds like there's great buzz for the game in Costa Rica. How much of that is recognition of the stars on Atlanta United from the people there who know them from competitions outside MLS or from just their time with Atlanta? I think that's a big factor here.
And all we really have to do is reference the noise that Mike caught during the press conference yesterday and the line and the security that was outside the team bus waiting for a particular individual, and then the fans who were waiting once practice was still going on. You had fans outside who were hooting and hollering for PT for the local media. So, I mean, we've seen it firsthand, and it got to very crowded madhouse proportions there for a little while, but I think you're right. It does have a lot to play with it. And once again, it's another fun part of this whole dimension to see.
Yeah, I think the recognition for Atlanta United players across the board is really high. I mean, the recognition for Atlanta United as a brand in Central America and South America is big. It's maybe bigger than any other MLS club already, and that's by design. That didn't happen by accident. This is an interesting one because you're adding a South American player of the year from River Plate, one of the biggest clubs in the world. That's going to get a ton of attention down here. And we saw it with every River Plate fan in the vicinity there to see him get off the bus and to see him get back on the bus. And that was it. And they were singing for him the whole time. You'll hear that song tonight. I think you'll hear it, especially if the home team is struggling and Pity scores a golazo or two. You're going to hear the Pity Martinez song, not just from the Atlanta United fans, but I think you're going to hear it in the stands overall.
I really think, and I understand what Doug has said and what you guys have been saying about how hostile this environment could be. I think we're all going to be rather surprised tonight when you see, A, the number of Atlanta United supporters wearing five-striped shirts. That's going to be substantial. B, I think there are going to be a lot of neutral Ticos who are going to be pulling for Atlanta United tonight because they're River Plate fans and they want to see Pitti. I think, yes, it's going to be a hostile atmosphere. Yes, the Herediano supporters will be there, and that could be crazy. But I think there's going to be a pretty sizable fraction of this crowd tonight rooting for Atlanta United. And one thing that we got some intel on yesterday is that this match is not yet sold out. Herediano's not having a good year, and their supporters have checked out on them to some degree. So don't be surprised if you're listening to us tonight on the radio, if you're watching on Yahoo Sports or Univision Deportes, and you hear pretty sizable crowd reaction for something that Pitti does or something that Atlanta United does.
Yeah, I think that'll be key. Wakatata Flame with a question, and we're going to have to get some crowdsourcing on this one. Do we know of any Costa Rican restaurants in Atlanta so Waka can try to get a match day experience? I don't. I know there was a Pura Vida restaurant, but I don't think it's still open, and I don't know if they showed games. I don't know. I don't know if you're going to get that vibe. And it's one thing if it was Saprissa or Alajuelense. I think maybe you would get some of that vibe from the Costa Rican community in Atlanta. Herediano is not the biggest club with the biggest following, so there might not be as much of that, Waka. But we're efforting. We're going to see what we can find, and we've retweeted it. So anybody who can chime in and help Waka, maybe it's a pregame meal to get the match day experience from the Costa Rican restaurant, and then find your local pub that hopefully is using the audio from 92.9 on the broadcast. That would be very cool. We have a couple more predictions before we go. Jimmy Vance back at the studio at 92.9 The Game. 3-1 to the good guys, 2 for Joseph, Pitti Golasso, and a Tony Schiavone gif as well. And if you have not seen the video that Jimmy Riddle did for us, this was a crazy idea that Mike and I had in the car driving back from an interview with Arthur Blank. So we'll give Arthur full credit on it because that's what made us think of pro wrestling and the soccer crossover. But we're talking about it, and we talked about Tony Schiavone and all he did in the wrestling back in the day. And he does updates at the station. And we thought maybe we can get Tony involved and do something really unique for our match day intros. So we started with that idea. Then it goes to a whole nother level of maybe we could do a video to go along with it. And maybe Jay would get involved in that since he is the master of the video these days. Jay was on board and Tony was on board, and it all came together, and it was a blast. And we're going to do those for every game this season. We will have a match day video. We will have a unique intro. It's just another thing we wanted to add this season. So we're just thankful that, first Tony was able to jump on board and was excited about it, and 2 for Jay and his work I think he might have slept. I think when we first came up with the idea, I don't know if he did sleep that night because he had a draft ready to go by the time I woke up, because Jay's crazy in all the best of ways. And Tony being part of this is just awesome. So to have a Tony Schiavone intro for tonight for our broadcast, I can't wait till that goes live and everybody gets a chance to hear it.
Yeah, Tony's awesome. We know there's a little bit of a crossover between pro wrestling fans and soccer fans. We're just trying to incorporate some new elements to make the broadcast a little bit better this year. And, God willing, we'll have no problems tonight. I guess we'll find out. The broadcast zone at the Estadio is a little bit primitive. So we're going to do our best to get a broadcast out tonight. I'm sure we will. But we're really looking forward to it. It's going to be fun, and Tony's going to set a good tone for us.
All right, final prediction on the board from Max McDonald. I think Max might be a new listener. Thanks, Max. 2-1 Atlanta United, brace from Joseph with Pitti on the assist. It's a very optimistic Atlanta United crew today.
Mm-hmm.
Don't freak out if it is a tough game. Don't freak out if it's a draw. Don't freak out if it's a narrow loss. This is 180 minutes. This is not going to be decided tonight. You don't want to be Toronto. You don't want to be Marathon and go into the second leg with a huge deficit. If it's not on tonight, if it's a struggle, if Herediano comes out and shows something that they haven't showed this year with their backs against the wall, you might have to ride it out. You might have to get a little more defensive. And it really sounds like the team is prepared for every possibility that could happen on the pitch tonight. Thanks, everybody, for listening and bearing with us with our technical difficulties for a road show. I think we got it okay. It was all right. People listened. People commented, so that's good. We'll be back tomorrow with a normal show, at least on my end. I'll be back in my home studio at some time in the morning. So we're planning on normal time, assuming I'm awake and assuming customs back in Atlanta doesn't take us forever to get through. So if we're a little late, we'll give you a heads up. John will still be in Costa Rica on the ground tomorrow morning.
And I will have the morning paper and sit there and stare at it with all the reactions that's fit to print.
All right, so we'll be back tomorrow. Depending on if Mike's awake, maybe we'll get Mike to chime in as well. It's all going to depend on when we get actually out of the airport. I think the idea is to land at 6:30, and we'll see how customs go. That's the idea. All that could change depending on traffic tonight, everything tonight. It's going to be a fun one. So thanks everybody for listening. We appreciate it. 9:30, Five Stripes Countdown, 92.9 The Game. You can listen on the Atlanta United app. You can listen on radio.com as well. Thanks, everybody. Mucha plata, y'all.
Mucha CCL fever, y'all.